Hi, welcome to everyone. Today we are going discussing about a company network, which we're discussing about the transport layer. So in this session, we're going discussing about this what is transport layer, like what is the importance of this transport layer while we're discussing about this previous sessions, how it is helpful to design the OSA reference model as well as in the TCP reference model. So basically while we're discussing about the transport layer, so transport layer also while we're discussing the previous sessions, transport also provides some kind of services. The services should be a connection oriented or connectionless communications where the information transmitted to the network layer or the above the layers. That thing we discussed about the previous sessions as well, but here majorly we focusing about what kind of services, which means how the information is transmitted, how we choose the network path, how we choose the routing path, how the information is transmitted to the same routing path. If any jump is there, any kind of damage is there, how we are able to identify the issues. All the things comes to the services in the transport layer. And here the other important thing is we calling as the elements of transport protocol, which means what kind of elements we are using that one, but information is transmitted, like while information is transmitted to the transport layer. Here we are using the n number of elements because for example, while discussing about this routing algorithm, we discussing about this a hubs kind of switches only, or else the routers we are using that one. Same way here we are proper information is transmitted, we are going to using a number of elements or importance to transmit the information from transmitter to receiver or source destination. What kind of path we are using that one, if any path is failed, how we are able to identify that one, all the elements of a protocol presence in the transport layer, that we discuss this one. And we discussing about this a simple transfer protocol, or else we calling as a SMTP, simple mail transport control protocol. All these things, what kind of protocols which emerging in the transport layer, we discuss in this session. As well as we discussing about this UDP, apparently we calling as a user datagram protocol. So while we discussing about or while we developing about transport layer, because while we developing about the down the layers, we discussing about network layers, we discussing about IPv4 version protocol or version 6 protocols, or else we discussing routing algorithm table or protocols developing this structure. So that is the virtual communication is important to us. So while we develop this a user datagram protocol or user datagram packet kind of things, we discuss in this transport layer sessions. As well as this, we focusing about basically in the a remote procedure call system, we calling as a distributed system mechanism. As well as we discussing about this transmission control protocol. In the previous sessions, we discussing about this TCP/IP layer, but how it will be helpful in the transport protocol, that we discuss in this transport layer section. Right. So when you say this, the layer overview. So what is layer overview? While we discussing about this previous session, we having as a OSA layer, we having that one, as well as we having as a TCP/IP reference model, we have that one. So but what is mean by this TCP reference model as well as the OSA reference model? When you see this one, the transport layer is the fourth layer of my OSA layer, as well as this is similar to my TCP/IP model, that should be similar to the second layer or third layer in the TCP/IP reference model. So where we data is established, where network is established through physical connection. So when you see this one here, transport layer network is established. How it is established? Based upon the n number of networks are connected. So n number of network connected, which means it is connected to the next of this data link layer, that is connected next of this a physical layer. So here any kind of a sub network, any kind of this sub network or this sub network or this sub network which we created that one, so that should be, so all the things are, because this network layer is, while you observe this one, this network layer is connected to the data link layer, and this physical layer is connected to the, this is connected to the physical layer, and this connected to the next of the physical data link layer, and next network layer, next of physical layer. So similarly the structural loop is going on, because here every connections is interlinked to the other network. So here we came to observe that one broader gateway protocol which implement that one, as well as the open source shortest path force also we are using that one. So here at the same time we are able to form on this routing information protocol, we are using that one. So all these things are emerged into the section and we forming as a different kind of sub networking, and that should be emerging and communicate to one network to another network. That is we calling as a transport layer. See, let us see the logical end-to-end transport layer. What is logical end-to-end transport layer? Here we connected to network layer to data link layer to transport physical layer to again the reverse manner in the again transport layer to data link layer to network layer to transport layer, that kind of a logical end-to-end transport communication is established. But while we see this one, while we observe this one, so here the ultimate goal of transport layer. But what is the ultimate goal of transport layer? Because the network layer is given the route path. Network layer only analyze the which is the shortest path, and they provide the shortest path and the network layer only. But what transport layer is do? Transport layer do is it is efficient to provide and reliable and cost effective service to the user while I'm using the shortest path algorithm. So if I'm going for the shortest path algorithm, that should be completely cost effective manner, and that should be application to my application. That is a normal process to my application layer. And to achieve this goal, the transporter make use of the services provided by the network layer. So that is what kind of hardware or kind of software mechanism we are using that one. So within the transport layer, so that kind of initially we calling as the transport entity. While you observe this image, we having as host 1 is we have that one, as well as we having as host 2. The information is transmitted between host 1 to host 2. But how it is transmitted? How it is transmitted? Here the information is getting from information to physical layer to data link layer to network layer. So here the network layer is continuously connected to the transport layer. Here we establish this one transport entity, which means any kind of hardware or software connection should be present in the same network layer within the transport layer. So based upon the transport entity only, they can accommodate this one. But while we connected to one network to another network, one host to another network, we are developing this TPDU. What is meant by TPDU? Which we calling as a transport protocol data unit. We calling as a transport protocol data unit. Based upon this protocol, we can able to accommodate, we can able to communicate to the one network to another network. And what is the position of transport layer? So what is this position of transport layer? So we can able to understand the scenario. Network layer is there. Between network layer, we having as a session layer, presentation layer, as well as we having as application layer. So but the entire thing is communicated to this transport layer. In the transport layer, we can able to accommodate, we can able to analyzing about what is my packetizing, what is my addressing assigning, what is the connection control, and what is reliability, because all these things comes a picture based upon the congestion control or as based upon the quality of services, which we discussed in the previous session. The network we were discussing about congestion control mechanism, we're discussing about leakage control or the token bucket control. At the same time, we're discussing about a flow of quality services, what the kind of parameters we are using that one. All these things we discussed in the previous session. So all these things we can able to accommodate in the transport layer. We can able to segmentation and we can able to provide some kind of services in transport layer, that is we calling as a packetizing, addressing mechanism, reliable kind of service. We need that one, as well as we go for this a connection control. So that kind of services we offer in the transport layer. And when you see this one, previously when discussing about data link layer and network layer, this we go for this a node to node communication is there, as well as in the network layer we calling as a host to host communication is established. But while coming transport layer, that is process to process transport, we calling as PPP transport layer, which means one process is connected to the another process services. So but here what happened, while we establishing these kind of process communication, but definitely we are going to using this node to node communication as well as host to host communication, and this end to end communications we calling as a process to process communication. So that kind of process to process delivery is possible in the transport layer. And what does transport layer do? Transport layer is a logical communication, because while discussing of the network layer, we having as a logical address, we have that one based upon the virtual communication, we have that one. Same way, this also we having as a logical communication between the application process, which means we have, for example, we have different apps we are running that one. That application, the backend thing is going on to run the applications or any kind of apps. That can be backend thing that should be run into the node to node connection is required, or as host to host connection is required. But the overall thing we calling as a packet to packet or process to process communication, we have that one. So here we'll go for this one application process in the application layer. The application process, it may connect to TCP layer, or else it may connect to this UDP IP layer, which may be based upon the connection oriented mechanism or else connectionless communication. But all the things are connected to IP protocol. This way a full duplex kind of communication is established between the services. And so here in this session we are discussed about the what is the transport layer? What is transport layer? We discussing about what kind of services we offer that one. What kind of service we offer that one. We go for this packetization. So what is this packetization section? Or else we go for this a reliable kind of services, or else we go for this equality of services. We measure that one, but how we're able to say that one? While discussing about this previous slide, we can able to say that we can able to say packetizing mechanism. We discussed about that one, but what is this packetizing mechanism? And what's addressing what is connection control or else a reliable services. So when you go for this kind of services, we'll go for this packaging services or else addressing kind of services, right? So all these are different kind of services we are offering that one, but kind of services while the information is transmitted in the form of these packets. So how the information is transmitted through packets to the down the layer? If packet is broken or if packet is damaged, what kind of precautions we are taking that one? So how we are able to measure the reliability of these values, right? And if any connection is failed, right, how we are able to establish the connection, or else how we are able to control the connection? That kind of services offered by the transport layer. And the transport layer is the best suitable, we calling as a end-to-end, which means we calling as a process-to-process kind of services we offer in the transport layer. That is a major advantage in the transport layer. And while discussing about transport layer, so when the about the transport layer, we having a session layer, we having that one, and we having as the presentation layer, we having that one, as well as we having as a application layer, we having that one. But same way in the UDP or TCP protocol, so these are merged and forming a single layer we calling as a application layer. So all the things, what is the quality of services, connection control services, reliability services, packaging service, all these things performed in the single layer, that in the TCP/IP reference model, which is transmission control protocol with internet protocol version. So these are the topics which we discussed in this session. Thank you.